Hey, good morning. I'm late today. We made our way to Fargo. So I was just going to have a brief devotion this morning. The Old Testament reading yesterday would have been Noah, Genesis 4 through 6, and today Genesis 7, 8, and 9. I just talk briefly about some of what's in those six chapters. Chapter 4, Adam and Eve have already been expelled from the garden. We have Cain and Abel, their two sons born, and the jealousy between Cain and Abel. And, it says that God accepted Abel's offering, but not Cain's. And Cain was jealous and killed his brother Abel, the first murder that we have on record. And God comes looking and asks Cain about Abel. And he says, well, I don't know. I'm my brother's keeper. He's covering it up. It's another one, it's like Eve, Adam said, the woman you gave me, and Eve said, the serpent, and so Cain too doesn't own up to what he has done, but God knows, and God banishes Cain, and Cain doesn't like his punishment, and rightly so. I mean, none of us like to be punished. I mean, that's even as a kid when moms and dads punish us, and we don't like that. But Cain was afraid in many ways that others would be out to kill him, but God put it so that anybody that killed Cain would really be in trouble, and he protected Cain's life that way. And Cain and his wife gave birth to Enoch and to Seth and many others, and Enoch is one later on we will read in the Bible that who walked with God, and Enoch is one of a very few that we have no record of his death. Other it just says that Enoch walked with God later on, and then as we read on in Genesis a little bit, then the family of God, the Nephilim, and I don't know how to even say that word for sure, but they were seeing that the women of the world were beautiful, and they were interacting with them, and they shouldn't have been. And God saw that it wasn't good, and God, it says, regretted having created male and female. God regretted creating humankind because of the sin of the world, because of all of the evil that was happening, because of that the humans were corrupting the heavenly beings. And so, I mean, it was evident that early on that heaven and earth weren't quite as separate as we think about them being in most of today's time. And so God made that separation permanent, and decided that the heavenly beings could no longer interact with the human beings that way. And the sin and evil of the world became more and more and more, and God was fed up with it. And God said, I'm going to just destroy and start over. However, he saw Noah and his family, Noah and his wife and three sons and their three wives were spared. And God said to Noah, build this ark, out in the middle of nowhere, build this ark. And Noah had to think too, well, what are you talking about, God? Why am I going to build this huge ship way out here? There's no way that there's any water ever going to get close to here, but Noah was faithful to God. Noah built this ark. And one of the things that I always think about when I read the story of Noah and the ark is, after the ark is finished and the rain starts to fall, and God calls the animals two by two to come onto the ark. And when every living creature is on the ark that God wants upon the ark, it says God shut Noah and everybody in. God shut the door. Noah didn't shut and lock the door. God shut the door on the ark to keep the rest of the sin out. They had warnings. I mean, they had seen Noah building the ark, and Noah had said, this is why I'm building the ark. God said to do this, and yet, the people just like in Jesus' day, just like today, many people don't turn to God. They continue to blame God, or they continue to say, oh, it's no big deal. I'm going to live as I want to live. But those people found out that there was no safety anyplace. And many of them came, or some of them at least, came and wanted Noah to open the door and let them in. And Noah had no access to open the door because God had shut the door. And it rained, it says for 40 days and 40 nights. And, we think about some of the rains that we've had. I remember seeing 7-inch rains and 9-inch rains and the devastation and the flooding that comes from those in just a small area. But this rain was over the whole earth. It rained that much. The clouds just poured out and everything came to being. And the ark floated. And there was nothing to be seen. But then God remembered. God remembered Noah, it says in the Bible, and he caused the rains to cease. He caused the waters to recede. And Noah sent out a dove, and it came back. And he sent it out again and later, and it came back with an olive branch, and sent it out again, and it didn't return. And then Noah knew that it was safe. And then again, God opened the door, and every living thing went forth from the ark. But as God spoke to Noah, he said, I will make the rainbow in the sky, and there will be no more floods of the earth. And, in the summertime we see the rainbows because of the rain and the water in the sky, the moisture. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it had to have rained here, but yet we can see the rainbow in the sky in the moisture there. And this time of the year, in the cold of the winter, especially on the coldest days, we see what we call sundogs, rainbows off on the sides of the sun that way. And I remember a person not from North Dakota one time, upon seeing them for the first time, had felt so rushed and so pressured with the day, that as she left home and saw the rainbows, the sundogs, she said, oh, God's promise. And she felt so good about the day. I didn't even feel like it. I didn't dare tell her. I didn't tell her that time that the sundogs were because it was so cold. But she did find that out later. But still, there is a beauty in the sundogs, in the rainbows in the sky. And a rainbow to me is always a sense of peace, a sense of well-being. And when we see a double rainbow, the one rainbow is the colors are the way they're supposed to be, and the upper rainbow is reversed. The colors are the opposite direction because it's a reflection in the sky of the rainbow. And I think about reflections, and we are to be a reflection of God, a reflection of Jesus in our world and in those that we encounter each day. And so it's like the sun or the moon has no light of its own, but it reflects the light from the sun. And the moon can be quite brilliant and quite bright when the sun is beating upon it. But in the dark of the night, when the moon is above us at night, the moon has different phases when it's not so bright, because it's not being benefited fully. We aren't seeing the full reflection that way. And I think our lives are like that too, that even as we are faithful Christians, even as we walk with God, we don't always show the true love and the true grace of God in our lives. And I think about that, reflections. And I mean, thinking and talking about the Bible as I'm reflecting upon the Bible as well. But we are to be Jesus to those that we encounter. We are to be reflections of God and of His love. And so when I see a rainbow, I think about a lot of different things. And but the thing that I remember most when I see a rainbow is God's promise to never destroy, to never completely destroy the earth as He did and all the inhabitants, the devastation that came. But the promise again is that the rains come down and nourish the earth, just as God's love comes to us and nourishes us, strengthens us, encourages us each day. May you be blessed today, as always, with God's love. Tomorrow, I'll try to be on time. Bye for now.